I'm considering leaving my fiance because of what his ex told me. I, 25 female, have been with my fiance Sean, 35 male, for 3 years. He proposed to me in December and I happily agreed. I've met and like his family a lot, and likewise for him. Our circle of friends have come together. We have a dog and are saving for a wedding and a house. I'll note that I am an immigrant from an Eastern Europe country while he is fully American. Sean had a previous long-term relationship before me with Kate, 30 female, and he's been open about it. He told me that they were together for a few years but had an amicable split because of differing ideas about their future. He wanted to settle down and she did not, his words. He said they had no kids or assets, so it was easy to split. I've never met or spoken with Kate before. His family doesn't bring her up. When we got engaged, I didn't want to share it online until we got some professional photos taken. I have a large following on Insta, which we took a couple of weeks ago. I just received them last week and posted a couple of pics announcing our engagement. The very next day, Kate DM'd me. I knew it was her because the name matched and I recognized her picture from my fiance's old posts. She was very direct and said that I need to know the truth about Sean. According to her, they did not break up amicably, but rather he left her when she received a serious medical diagnosis. Also, they had apparently been married. I did not believe her at first, but she sent me lots of proof. Marriage license, hospital bills, even a selfie she had with him in the hospital. I decided to speak with her on the phone and she just told me everything. She said it's her life mission to warn other women about him while she can. I was and still am stunned. In my culture, family and loved ones are more important than anything. My mom cares for my ailing dad, as do me and my siblings. Marriages and family are truly in sickness or in health. If I got sick, would he leave me? What about our future kids? I believe Kate, but I'm also torn on what to do. I haven't spoken to Sean about this yet. This might be a deal breaker for me. Hello? He lied about being married before. Red flag after red flag. He left his wife when she was sick, lied to you about being married, lied to you about breaking up amicably. Run away! Run away! Am I wrong for canceling my brother's wedding? To make a novel short, my 27 female, brother 30 male met his future wife 28 Ella at a party 3 years ago. Honestly, we never got along, but I always tried to put up a peaceful front because my brother seemed blissfully happy with her. Ella was mean to me a lot. Like, a lot. She would make comments about my weight, my makeup, and especially my dog. She hated animals and hated that I would bring my lab, Toast, to my parents' or my brother's house. It always just felt like something aimed to hurt me. When the two got engaged, she asked me to be her maid of honor since she has no sisters or many girlfriends, and since my brother seemed thrilled, I obliged. What I failed to realize when I accepted the role was that her maid of honor meant planning the entire wedding. Like I was booking venues, florist, jazz band, everything. Even worse, she expected me to put my credit card down for all of it. My brother and her are not exactly well off, and since I have a well-paying job, I didn't mind holding the deposits, but it was starting to add up to a lot. Every time I asked Ella about him, she would say that it would all be paid back by her parents before the wedding. Well, flash forward to last week, about 3 weeks before the wedding, and she's unbearable to be around. She can't last more than a few sentences before snapping at anyone. So when I, of course, brought up the money, shit hit the fan. I asked if she had received the updated receipt of everything owed when she exploded. She called me a whole line of terrible names, but the one that stuck out was her saying, "What do you need the money for anyway? Your sick dog is dead now." My beautiful Toasty died about a month before this after he fought the bravest battle with cancer. He was my soul dog and I was devastated. I blinked at her and simply left the room, having no energy to even respond to something so cruel. I went back to my car, and after the 20 silent minute drive home, I parked the car and immediately called the vendors and canceled any deposit under my card. Every single one. After almost 20 calls, all that was left of her wedding was the dress and the flower arc. I texted my brother a short explanation. I told them that every vendor would be contacting him if they wished to keep their services and they were now responsible for covering everything, and that I would no longer be attending. It was a matter of minutes before my phone started to explode and I just turned it off. It's been a few days and I haven't talked to anyone but my mom, who thankfully understands where I was coming from. My brother has tried to call, but I just feel terrible, both about what I did and about what she said. I know what I did was extreme, but I also couldn't sit by and practically enable her cruelty anymore. I still can't help but feel bad for ruining my brother's big day. So I don't know, am I the asshole for this? You would think that you'd be kind to someone doing you a big as a favor as you were for her. If someone was helping me with my stressful ass wedding and put their card on the line for me, you think I'm gonna jeopardize that at all by disrespecting her and just being mean? No, absolutely not. You definitely did the right thing.
When I was a kid, I was making myself a box of Kraft mac and cheese, and my mom walked in and she was like, Here's a radical idea. You have a whole family and you're making yourself dinner right now. What if you just made a couple extra boxes so that you could feed the whole family? And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So I got a giant pot and I thought, okay, I eat one box of mac and cheese all by myself. And there are 11 people living in my house. So I should make 11 boxes of mac and cheese. And then I thought, well, wait, I am just a tiny teenage girl. I was so stupid. And my brothers and dad are men, so probably they eat more mac and cheese than me. So probably 11 boxes of mac and cheese isn't gonna cut it. So I think I made like 14 or 15 boxes of mac and cheese in a giant pot, enough to feed an entire state. When my mom finally came back into the kitchen, she was like, what? Why? We had mac and cheese in our house for so many days. We didn't want to throw it away, so in the fridge we just had all this mac and cheese we were eating all week long.
How should I, male 45, deal with my wife, 47 female, who would prefer working for minimum wage instead of using her law degree? For some important background, my wife has a chronic fatigue syndrome. She worked full-time for a few years after we got married. She's an attorney and was earning $75,000 a year. In 2010, however, her illness became too much to manage while also holding down a job, and for the next 9 years, I was the sole breadwinner in our family. We've paid roughly $500 each year for her to maintain her law license, even though she's not been using it. This has been an incredible strain, particularly once we added a couple kids. But during that time, I never pushed her to go back to work because I understood that it might be just too much for her to deal with. But 4 years ago, a mutual friend of ours asked my wife to occasionally spend a few hours per week helping out in a clerical role for minimum wage, and she agreed. This gradually turned into my wife working 15 to 20 hours a week and occasionally working as much as 35 hours in a week. She would come home utterly exhausted and would sleep through most of the following weekends. After a few months of this, I pointed out to her that she can physically manage regularly working in an office for that amount of time. Perhaps she should consider doing much more lucrative legal work instead. I noted that she could work from home, no need to get dressed up or deal with the commute, and that if she billed 5 hours per week, 1 hour per weekday, she could roughly double our household income. Even so, I only offered this as a consideration. I did not insist. Several opportunities have presented themselves over the past few years for her to resume work as a lawyer. Although she sometimes expressed minimal interest, she did not actually pursue any of them. When our friends ask, she continues to do clerical work at minimum wage. Last December, after a year of particularly acute financial stress, I finally put my foot down. I told my wife that the family needed her to start earning more money. A small wills and trust practice would be a low-pressure approach that would give her all the scheduling flexibility she could possibly need. I reiterated that I was only asking her to do work from home for 5 hours each week, and I offered to help her get started. I also started setting deadlines by which I would ask her for a report progress toward the goal of starting a new law practice. Over the first 6 months of this year, I know she has grudgingly made some effort to move in this direction, but still does not seem inclined to actually start doing legal work. I've about reached my wit's end. I love my wife and divorce is absolutely not an option, but I'm starting to really resent her unwillingness to take steps necessary to help carry the family's financial burden. I've used every gentle approach that I can think of to tell her how important this is to me. A couple weeks ago, I was literally about 10 minutes away from demanding that she find a marriage counselor for us to talk to, but I ended up pulling back last minute because I don't think that she would take that well, and then I also feel like that's one of those bridges that, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. So I'm asking for advice.
Here is your letter.
It's happening again. I'm so excited.
I know. Today's secret is from Brooke.
I really need your help, and I can't talk to my friends and family about how I'm feeling. I am getting married this year, and I'm so excited to spend my life with my fiancé, Josh. We've been together for 5 years in June, and our relationship is very special. Josh is handsome, clever, warm, and romantic. Everything I've ever wanted in a husband. I love him more than I can describe, and he treats me extremely well. Over the years, we've handled everything life can throw at us together. I was there for him when he was grieving his mum, and he helped me through every mental health struggle I encountered throughout the COVID lockdowns. My parents absolutely adore Josh, and it's with good reason. I am very, very lucky to have him. There's just one problem though. I can't stop thinking about his best friend.
No!
His name is Ben, and he's Josh's best man. They've been like brothers since high school. I don't know when I started noticing Ben in a non-friend kind of way. It was probably around this time last year. The three of us, myself, Josh, and Ben, developed a ritual of going to the gym together on Saturday mornings, then getting breakfast at a nearby cafe afterwards. It was these Saturday mornings at the gym and sharing breakfast that drew me closer to Ben. He's very tall and attractive for starters, as well as charismatic and funny.
Girl.
When I'm with Ben, I find myself having such a good time. We also have the best conversations. We don't agree on everything politically, but I enjoy that he wants to talk things through with me and understand my point of view. He's a great conversationalist and has a great mind. Somewhere, as you can probably tell, my feelings for Ben became a crush. I look forward to seeing him at the gym and get excited at the thought of us having one of our deep conversations. Of course, Josh is always there with us, so everything
Josh,
is
get
above
out of there.
board. He just likes
off,
sitting
Josh.
back and letting us go. I think he finds my closeness to Ben endearing and sweet. His fiancée and his best friend are close, and he's very happy about that. While I'm unsure as to whether Ben feels anything for me romantically, I find it hard to believe he'd be unaware of our chemistry. Truthfully, I'm not sure how he could miss it, or how Josh hasn't developed even the faintest hint of jealousy. Ben regularly comments on my appearance in front of Josh, looking me up and down and saying things like, "You look great," or "How lucky is this guy to have you?" On my birthday, he bought me a bouquet of flowers. But again, Josh was there, and it was
The
seen
real
as something
Josh.
thoughtful
He's
and
your
friendly.
fiancé. Of course he's there.
Ben has a long-term girlfriend too, so perhaps that's why nobody really blinks an eye.
Josh happens to be
She's
there.
lovely, but he never really involves her in our little group. I know that all of this must read badly, and I want to remind you, I love my fiancé so much. He makes me so happy, and I know I make him happy in return. This is not about falling out of love with him or not wanting to get married, because I can't wait to marry him and be his wife. Although, on the other hand, my feelings for Ben are undeniable. There's just something about him that I find so captivating and sexy and, for obvious reasons, wildly confusing. What does any of this mean? Is it normal to have a crush on your partner's friend or to fantasize about them? Is this why some couples swing with their close friends? And ultimately, is this just a natural, unspeakable part of being in a long-term relationship, that crushes will come and go without meaning much at all? My mind is swimming and I need some clarity.
Okay.